Hi everybody, my name is Cara. I am actually a graduate from the Pennsylvania Culinary Institute, and I've been cooking forever. It's my passion and it's my love, and today I'm here to share a little bit of Pittsburgh history, of some foods that we love and thoroughly enjoy around our area. I have three main foods that we're going to talk about today, and then I'm going to touch on a few other fun facts of from cookie tables to halushki today, right? What could get better than that? So get your favorite drink, sit down, relax, and let me entertain you and enrich your lives a little bit with some of my wonderful Thanksgivings that I have today. So I got my papers, I'm ready. Oh, man, this day has been stressful, let me tell you. All right, how are y'all doing? Good? Yeah, you know, it is what it is. Right, so let's forget about the world and all the craziness that we have to deal with and think about some wonderful food that we have here today. All right, so if you were going to name three foods that you were like, it's so Pittsburgh, what would you name? Feel free to share them in the comments down below. So, my first thought was pierogies. Like, come on. What is not more staple than pierogies, right? And then I was thinking, like, what else is Pittsburgh? Halushki. Everywhere, every event. I remember color guard. We would do, it's an indoor, or winter guard, not color guard. Winter guard. It's an indoor flag twirling competitions we would do. And that was one of the staples that you got everywhere you went. And I know my mom used to make it, but she didn't make it that often. And I remember this one lady made it at this show that we had, and I was so hungry. And I didn't usually get it because Mom didn't make it that often. So it was never like, I was always like, nachos. Well, they didn't have any nachos that day. And I remember they had the halushki. And I was like, all right, give me some. My mom has blah, blah. And I was like, oh. I threw a little extra pepper on that thing. And I was in heaven. So yeah, halushki is a staple at my house. Like, you're going to get it at least every couple of weeks. We're having halushki. And it's one of those things like, you go to the flea market sales, halushki. You know, churches have things, halushki, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of halushki and, you know, where it originated from, what it really is, you know. Well, what it is to us. Not what it really is, what it is to us. And what it was originated as. Because it's a lot different than what it's like originated from. And then I was thinking, what else is a staple at a lot of different events? And I was like, cabbage rolls. Come on, you guys know. Right? Cabbage rolls. Those little meat-filled cabbage leaves. Meat and rice. So delicious. Right? So, those are going to be the three recipes. Or, yeah, the recipes we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to give you some history on. Throw out a recipe. Or two. And, yeah. And we're going to go from there. But, I just wanted to touch on a couple other things that I'm not going to go too in depth with, but I'm sure some of you have commented in the comments. French fries, like, we put French fries on everything here, right? Permane Brothers sandwiches, duh. Like, we all know that story, right? Started down in the Strip District. We're just making it for hungry drivers. And then it, boom, exploded. And they still have the original Permane Brothers sandwich on there, right? With the fried egg. Gotta get that one. French fries, fried egg, coleslaw. Yummy. my favorite permane sandwich, which I would love for you all to share in the comments, your favorite permane sandwich. Mine is the cheese combo. I like the original one, but the cheese combo, I don't know. Something with all that cheesy gooiness. So good, right? And then, what else? We put French fries on everything, right? Salads. Like, that's a Pittsburgh thing, which, to me, I didn't think that would really be so much of a Pittsburgh thing, because, like, I thought everybody put French fries on salads, right? And then I started meet more people not from this area. They were like, no, you don't. Maybe some croutons, right? Not French fries. But yeah. That's us Pittsburghers, right? But we're such a melting pot. So, like, it's really hard to say. So when I picked these three foods, like, it's so funny that I picked them because they're not even my ethnic background. Like, you want to get to my ethnic background, let's talk cookie tables, okay? I am part Italian, and I know all about cookie tables, okay? Some people try to talk that it came from Ohio or whatever. Cookie tables is a Pittsburgh thing. You have it at your wedding. You have the little Italian cookies with the little jellies in them, or the iced Italian cookies, and then you have the ones with like that sweet nut filling. I can't remember what those are called. You have to have chocolate chip. You have to have peanut butter, right? People with allergies are going crazy, like, no peanut butter. But yes, they throw those on there too, right? Pizzelles. Oh my goodness, Lady Locks. You can't have a cookie table without Lady Locks. Like, that is probably my favorite cookie on there. Seriously, you got to have the Lady Locks. So why don't you all share with us what your favorite cookie is on the cookie table? That, like, if your cookie table does not have that, it is not a cookie table. Seriously. I say Lady Locks, right? Oh, yeah, and then you always got to have the take-home bag, right? Because who doesn't have a take-home bag for cookies? Come on. So, I used to work at catering at the Palace Inn. You guys remember that place? It's not there anymore. And every single wedding we did, you had to have a 6-foot cookie table. I will never forget. I mean, that was part of my job. We would actually come in extra early and put all the cookies. We would tray up all the cookies because they would come in all these homemade containers, and you have to sit there and put all the cookies on the thing. And you had to put a little bit of each cookie on the thing, on the tray. Like, you didn't put all the same cookie on one tray. That's also what makes a really good cookie table, because you never know what you're going to get. And, like, you can come in at any angle from the table and get a sampling of cookies, not like having to wait while Uncle Joe over there is hogging all the Lady Locks. Like, there's some on this one and there's some on this one. So you can grab some before Uncle Joe eats them all, right? We all have that uncle. But yeah, that was, I remember spending like an hour just plating cookies for our weddings that we would have. Because we would like do 2 events at one time, like 2 weddings usually. And yeah, you'd spend at least an hour divvying up cookies, and people would just bring cookie after cookie container. You're just like, how many cookies did you bake? I remember the one lady, that was the longest time I ever heard. She said she started baking cookies a year before the wedding and freezing them. I was like, hot dang. But her cookies were good too. Because that was the other thing. Like, these were all like grandmas and stuff that were bringing these cookies in. And they'd be like, oh, you eat some. Here, try this one. This one's really good. So that was the cool part too. We got to try lots of different cookies. So, all right. Let's move on. I can't wait to see what cookies you guys all like. Because, I mean, I'm not a baker, but I truly appreciate baking. Like, 100%. All right. The first food I'm going to talk about is not on my camera right now, but halushki. Halushki is, it's a very fond memory for me growing up. Like I said, it just, you know, every event, every show, there was always halushki, and you could smell the cabbage and the butter and the onions cooking from as soon as you hit a door, as soon as you walk into the event or the place or the area, you're like, halushki is here, right? It has a distinct smell. Now, we traditionally, in my family, serve kibasi with our halushki, or sometimes hot dogs. Usually we have kibasi and halushki. Same with pierogies. We usually have pierogies and kibasi. Which I also found a lot of people didn't know what kibasi was. So that's another like Pittsburgh one, or a little bit more common to the Pittsburgh area, is kibasi. But so for halushki, okay, let's talk, because halushki originated in Central Eastern Europe. All right. But it was made from a batter consisting of flour and grated potatoes. So it sounded more like a gnocchi, right? Flour and grated potatoes. And then the batter was spread on a wooden cutting board. And then small pieces of the batter were dropped into boiling water. Gnocchi. And then they would strain them out. Yeah. Like, so as I'm reading this, I'm going, gnocchi? Because salt and sometimes an egg are added. Gnocchi? Like, right? So, I don't know exactly how halushki came to be halushki. Right? Because sorry. I just got sidetracked. Because yeah, halushki is not like what halushki was traditionally is not what we have at all. So I wonder who was like, this is halushki, even though, like, right? It's gnocchi is what they make. It's so funny. But, okay, let me tell you, this is how I make my halushki. So, I don't find it very controversial how I make my halushki. But, so, unless I'm doing something special, it's 1 stick of butter, 1 head of cabbage. I don't get the biggest head and I don't get the smallest head. I get a nice medium-sized head. And then I use 2 whole yellow onions. And I chop the cabbage and the onions together. I start to melt my butter. I throw the cabbage and the onions on top. And I let that cook until it's cooked all the way down. And the cabbage is real soft and the onions are real soft. And then I boil my water and I throw in our wide egg noodles, right? Cook those and toss everything together. Salt and pepper. Mwah, done, right? So if I want to get fancy, I'll use bacon fat mixed with butter. And then I'll give it this nice bacon flavor. Or on occasion, if I want to get fancy and crazy with it, I've done red cabbage. Almost like the German, like red cabbage. I can't remember the name of it, where they use the red cabbage and the bacon and the onions. So I'll use red cabbage and bacon and onions and the egg noodles and mix all that together. And it makes it just a little bit sweeter. Not that red cabbage really is really sweeter than cabbage. Maybe it's all in my head. Who knows? But to me, it definitely has a little bit of a sweeter taste. Okay, everyone, let's continue. All right, so let's start with a cabbage roll. Okay, got the cabbage roll right here. Can y'all see? So we all know what a cabbage roll is, especially if we're from Pittsburgh, right? Cabbage, boiled, meat, rice, mixed together, put inside the cabbage, rolled up, topped with a tomato sauce, bake it in the oven. Ta-da! Delicious, right? So, nobody knows where the origin is officially of the cabbage roll, okay? So Nancy Cressick Allen wrote a cooking textbook, and she states that the origins are unclear and that it is possible multiple groups of people invented it at the same time, okay? Because, I mean, there's a Jewish version, a lot of Eastern European versions, Lebanon has a version. I mean, there's so many. Chinese have a version, North Africa. It's crazy. So, we know what the cabbage roll consists of to us, right? Meat, rice, cabbage, basic. And that is common in the European traditions, okay? And then you add garlic, onion, and spices, okay? To each their own taste, right? Now, in Asia, they use seafood, tofu, and shiitake mushrooms. And generally, they have a mushroom sauce. Well, not generally. Sometimes they have a mushroom sauce. It's pretty common. That sounds delicious to me, right? And then in Lebanon, they generally stuff theirs with rice and minced meat. And they roll theirs a lot thinner and smaller. They only do it about the size of a cigar. So, like, that big. Ours are probably twice that size. We have big ones over here. Right? Everything's bigger in America. Or no, is that Texas? Everything's bigger in Texas. Yeah, doesn't matter. But, anyway, Chicago, which claims to have the largest Polish population outside of Poland, and Detroit, Pennsylvania, New York, northeastern Ohio, refer to cabbage rolls as pigs in a blanket. I guess it's not common in other parts of the United States, but it's more common over this way as pigs in a blanket, right? And then Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe popularized the dish in New York City, where they became known as Jewish cabbage. So you have pigs in a blanket, Jewish cabbage, right? Now, a cool fun thing I learned about the cabbage rolls, I thought was pretty neat, is that the Cajuns and Louisiana Creoles take the ground pork and rice, but they add chopped vegetables to theirs. So I was like, all right, make it a little healthy. Maybe sprinkle in a little blackened seasoning, a little Cajun seasoning. But that would be good, right? A spicy cabbage roll. Oh, that would be funny. Okay. Just checking my time. I don't want to hold you up longer than I have to, right? Alrighty. Now, it is time for the almighty pierogi talk. We know the pierogi. We love the pierogi in Pittsburgh. We even have pierogi races. Right? How many of you been to a pirate game and got to see the pierogies race? Right? Which one's your favorite? You all have a favorite. You're sitting in the stands rooting for one more than the other. You might not know all the names. I'm going to tell them to you. But you might be like, the one in the green hat. The one in the red hat. All right. They are sauerkraut Saul in the back there. Cheddar cheese Chester. Jalapeno Hannah, the only one with the awesome purse accessory. Oliver Onion, the only one with glasses. Potato Pete. Bacon Bart, who is not pictured. And Pizza Penny in the lead. Come on. Now, if you've missed your pierogi races, you can still watch them. They're having virtual ones. where the pierogies actually are still racing at an off-site location. Like, they're not racing at the baseball field, but they're racing around Pittsburgh. And you can check it out in the Ballpark app. They post them in there. And then they have celebrity commentators to talk about the pierogi race, like to comment on the pierogi races. It's pretty cool. You should check it out, right? Especially if you're missing some pierogi races. All right. Now, let's get into the pierogi, because the pierogi is the heart of Pittsburgh, okay? Nothing is more Pittsburgh than a Yinzer eating a pierogi, right? Drinking in Iron City, downtown. Come on. All right. Let me give you a little bit of history of the pierogies. They were brought to the United States and Canada by Central and Eastern European immigrants, largely Polish and Ukrainian populations. Okay? They were originally a family food, and they were served in ethnic restaurants until the 1960s. And then they became a common supermarket food item. Think Mrs. T's. All right. Some of you might be rolling over and when I say Mrs. T's, but I like them. They're not bad. They save me time. Because to make a homemade pierogi, yes, it is a little bit of work, but, you know, when you have 3 crazy kids running around, you're like, I'm just going to do what I have to do to get by for today. But no. Anyway. So, I don't know why we don't have a bigger pierogi festival in Pittsburgh. Maybe because we have it every single day that we're just like, you know. I mean, we have Pickle Fest. Come on. Where's Pierogi Fest 2020? Well, maybe 2021. Right? But there is a Pierogi Fest in Whiting, Indiana. Right? They celebrate it every July. I wonder what they did this year. Should have looked that up, right? And in Glendon, Alberta, Canada, they erected a roadside tribute to the culinary creation, a 25-foot fiberglass pierogi, complete with a fork, to eat said pierogi. How cool is that? If I ever make it to Canada, I'm going to get a picture with the giant pierogi and fork. That'd be really cool. But the United States is actually the #1. Well, okay. So from Chicago to New York, it accounts for 68 of the annual pierogi consumption. 68% of the pierogies consumed in America happen between Detroit and New York in the Northeast. Come on, people. It's called the pierogi pocket. Right? Come on. It was actually, the pierogi pocket began in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, and then it kind of spread out when they realized that that's how, it was just like this condensed area. And now we're actually, we're #1 in pierogi consumption, only second to Canada, because Canada has a very large Polish population. Now, pierogies filling, or pierogi fillings. Let's talk about those for a minute. You can literally fill pierogies with anything. Anything. Okay? So, I have seen sweet potato, cottage cheese, sauerkraut, you know, mashed potatoes, right? People have gone crazy. I've seen dessert pierogies. Come on, does it get better than that? So, another common thing, well, so when I was reading up on the pierogies, a lot of people were saying that if it's fried pierogi, it's an ethnic, like, thing. Like some ethnic groups. Dude, I do it. I guess I'm that ethnic group. But my kids don't like the texture of pierogies, so we fry them, Makes it a little bit crispier for them. And they eat them. Now, I just cook mine in butter. Like when I fry them, I just fry them in butter. I don't like deep fry them or oil or anything because you're already going to put butter on it. So I just pan fry them in a little bit of butter. And then, you know, your toppings, pierogi toppings are endless. Bacon, onions, sour cream, chives. I used to do cottage cheese. That was a delicious one. I would get like whatever flavor pierogi. I think my favorite at the time with the cottage cheese was the feta one. The feta pierogi, some cottage cheese on top. I'm a cheese lover. Right? Back to the cheese combo with the Permane Brothers sandwich. Come on. That's my thing. But, so there is a restaurant or a pizza place in Canonsburg that had a pierogi pizza. I don't know, because I don't eat from that many pizza places around here. Nothing personal, just don't have the money. But they have pierogies. This pizza place down in Canonsburg, they have pierogies on their pizza. I do not remember the name of it, but oh my goodness, just look it up. It was so good. We used to get that every once in a while. Well, it's okay. Let me refresh that. It's not actually pierogies on the pizza. They take the filling for the pierogies and the flavoring and seasoning and put it on. Okay. All right. So we were talking about pizza pierogies, right? It was delicious. It was really good. So I suggest anyone that ever wants to try one, seek them out. Do it. It's delicious. Now, pierogies are probably the only Polish dish that have its own patron saint. His name is Saint Hyacintha. I hope I am pronouncing that right. I looked it up, and that's how it said to pronounce it. So if you actually know the name and I'm mispronouncing it, I completely apologize. Forgive me. But they say Saint Hyacintha and his pierogi. Right? Like, holy smokes, sir. Good grief. So it's an exclamation. And there's actually, so when I was looking it up, I saw the Polish for it, which I cannot say. I tried, and it was really, really bad. So, forgive me for not saying it. But there is an actual Russian term, but it translates to Saint Hyacintha and his pierogi. So, I might start using that. I'll have a spicy cabbage roll and Saint Hyacintha and his pierogi. What are you doing? So funny. Okay, so there is a pierogi monument. Did I tell you about this? Yes, I think I did. Sorry, I got distracted. Man, kids. Like, right? So, I want you all to put in the comments what your favorite kind of pierogi is. And also, who is your favorite pierogi? Oh, I forgot to ask that when I was talking about pierogies. Saint Hyacintha and his pierogi. Good grief. Charlie Brown. But yeah, in the comments, I want to know who your favorite pierogi is. And what your favorite filling is for the pierogies. And if you have a favorite topping. So like, I don't consider this a topping, but like, again, when I was reading up on these, kibasi is considered a topping. I mean, I have kibasi with pierogies. It's pretty common. But is it really a topping? No, it's a side. Right? Pierogies are the main dish. Kibasi is the side. Sorry, I'm just cracking myself up. It is so late tonight. Oh, man. Life is interesting, though. Okay, so let's talk about the origins of pierogies real quick, okay? Some legends say pierogies came from China. through Italy from Marco Polo and his expeditions. Others said that the pierogies were brought to Poland by Saint Hyacintha of Poland. He brought them back from Kiev on July 13th, 12,038. It says, on his visit, a storm destroyed crops, and Hyacintha told everyone to pray, and by the next day the crops rose back up. As a sign of gratitude, people made pierogies from those crops for Saint Hyacintha. Another legend states that Saint Hyacintha fed the people with pierogies during a famine caused by an invasion by the Tatars in 1241. Yet another legend that holds the pierogies were brought by the Tatars to the west from former Kievan Rus. So, it's another one. It's disputed. It said that it arrived in the 13th century. But none of these are legends are supported by the etymological origin of the root Peru, from the Proto-Slavic for feast. While the origin of the pierogi is often under debate, the exact origin of the dish is unknown and unverifiable. So, it's likely it originated somewhere in Central Europe or Eastern Europe and has been consumed in these regions long before any of the present political nations existed. So today it is a large part of many Central European and Eastern European cultures. So again, it's like our cabbage rolls. We don't know who makes them. We just eat them because they're delicious, right? All right. So, do you want to know how to make a pierogi? Who knows how to make a pierogi? I'm sure some of you do. But the dough is made by mixing flour and warm water and sometimes an egg, and it's rolled flat, and then it's cut into circles or squares, depending on what you're doing. Because some people cut it in squares, and then they make those fancy little, what is the word? Crimps, like a crimping, or they just lay them flat like our pierogies here. That's really generally how you find pierogies around this area. Generally, not all the time. And then the dough can be made with some mashed potatoes to create a smoother texture. And another variation popular among Czechs and Slovaks uses dough made of flour and curd with eggs, salt, and water. I never have had to make pierogi dough from scratch. But when I did get to make it, I've never had my own recipes, what I should say, of how to make it. I got to make it one time, and we used mashed potatoes mixed in with our dough. We didn't do the curd, flour, egg, salt, and water. And I think it was good. Adds a little extra flavor, putting some mashed potatoes in there instead of just using flour, eggs, and water. And then you get whatever filling you're going to have. You put it in the center. You fold it over. And now this is the part where I think it gets unique because some people crimp it. So if you're going to do the flat, you can get a, you can flat seal it, okay? You can use press with your fingers and just make a flat seal, okay? That's generally how our pierogies are. Sometimes they're really crimped. I like the crimped ones. They look really pretty. And then you simmer. Well, you get water that's boiling and then you turn it down so that it simmers because you can't simmer water without bringing it to a boil first. I know, you always see that, bring your water to a simmer. Well, you gotta bring it to a boil first and then reduce to a simmer. And then you put your pierogies in. When they float, you pull them out. And then you either toss them with butter and your toppings, or like me, you just fry them a little bit. And then you devour, right? So some dessert fillings that people use are applesauce, jam. What was the other one? Plums, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, cherries. Oh, there was one more that I saw on here. I apologize. It's... Can't find it out. It had a fun name to it, too. Name of filling. Okay, so there's so many countries. I'm not going to go into every single one because I'm running around out of time. But I'm going to go through a list real quick of all the countries that have their own variety of pierogi. So Poland, obviously, we talked a lot about their version. Ukraine, Slovakia, Slovenia, Russia, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova. Most German-speaking countries and regions. And obviously the United States and Canada. So there are, the Russians have their lazy pierogi, which is more like a gnocchi that they call halushki. I'm not joking. Yeah, it crossed over into all there. But I enjoyed doing this tonight, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I will try to answer the best I can. If anyone wants to see another one of these in the future and has a suggestion of something you'd like to see, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm totally up to doing more of these. And I hope you guys have a great night, right? Stay safe. Bye.